Hi, this is Kendra from Pencil and Pigment, and today I'm going to be talking about my low-buy art supply in terms of more sort of revelations and things that have come to me and ideas that have been reinforced. I'm using Astrology 365. I have a little sheet protector here. I'm going to be drawing with a Tombow pen. This is 879. I believe it's just called Brown. Brown is a beautiful color. Always underrated, always use it more. Okay, so let's talk about some of the stuff that has come to me. Now, if you're new to my channel, I cannot control how people find my videos. And lots of times people find them out of order, out of context, and that's absolutely fine. Just know that for the entire year of 2022, I did a no-buy art supply, and that was fully documented on YouTube. I will link that playlist in the description box, and there are all kinds of topics and things I discuss. So if that interests you or you're curious, that is something worth checking out. Yeah, I don't put a paywall anywhere, so everything's just free. Just check out all my videos, things that apply, things that interest you. I'm going to start with the eyes, and then we can just sort of move along. And then eventually you will figure out what it is I'm doing here. Okay, so I can honestly say that this year I have not looked, wow, I'm trying to think. Before my no-buy art supply, I definitely looked at haul videos. I looked at videos where people would talk about sales in different places or things being discontinued and talking about where you can get that stuff. You know, every once in a while a watercolor gets discontinued and it gets swapped for something else, maybe that's more fugitive or less fugitive or easier to come by or just more affordable to create, whatever the case may be for some of the products. Every once in a while that tends to happen, and then there's kind of a rush on that product as folks scramble to buy the last bit of that one color. I would check out those videos just because I find some of that interesting, but that's definitely sort of a haul video and a purchasing video and people talking about consumption and consumerism and buying all the things. I don't do that anymore. I don't openly check out those videos. I don't search for those videos. I don't have those in sort of my subscriber list, playlist. That's not something I actively seek out anymore. I just realized that if you look at some of the last videos in the playlist of the amount of product I used up in an entire year without buying anything, there's just no way I can get through all the watercolors I already own. So unless I have like an entire year of watercolor and I absolutely fall in love with a specific mix and I need sort of maybe a convenience color because I'm just tired of making it over and over and over and trying to color match for a project or something, I won't really be buying any more watercolors. I kind of already own all that I need to have. In terms of colored pencils, I have used my 36 set of polychromos so much, and I've already purchased the convenience colors I need. It is my firm opinion that set needs a dark green of some form. But other than that, I've purchased extra browns just because, again, brown is beautiful and it just works with everything. It just looks good with absolutely everything. So I don't need to purchase anymore unless it's like refills of running out. The same is sort of true with sketchbooks. I purchased a lot of sketchbooks in 2021. And one of them was a company going, clearing out stock and not making any more of these certain colored sketchbooks, and ones were like limited edition, and I still haven't used all those up. They weren't the best choices for me in terms of looking at all the mediums I own. I kind of own half dry media, half wet media, and I've been doing a lot of pen and ink in this book just because this paper really lends itself well to pen and ink. But in terms of like how much watercolor, and I own a little tiny bit of acrylic paint, those sketchbooks aren't good for watercolor, and I really enjoy doing watercolor. They weren't the best purchase. So in terms of like reinforcing what I've already learned, but just like solidifying it and making that point across to myself even stronger, I really settle on mediums based on the surface. So depending on what paper I'm using is what medium I'm using, and I really don't deviate from that. I really wanted to challenge myself this year and use one paper the entire year because I've never done that before. I've done drawing challenges for over a year, you know, back-to-back drawing challenges of different monthly things, but I've never done one paper an entire year, and I thought that would be a really unique challenge for myself, and it definitely was challenging about at the halfway point. At the halfway point it became challenging because I felt like I learned all the things I needed to learn about this paper and I wanted to move on. But that defeats doing a whole year challenge if you give up halfway. So I just kept going. Some days I would just sit here at my desk and like stare at this page, at this paper, and just look at it and just kind of sigh. And then like an hour and a half had gone by and I hadn't drawn anything. And there were quite a few days like that. So know that like not every day I just sit down and I'm like instantly drawing and everything's like super rosy and stuff. Like I definitely learned what this paper is all about, and I definitely learned what doing an art challenge of the same type of paper for an entire year is all about. It is not, it's not super easy. I think if it was, more people would be doing it. I also don't think it's for everybody. Like it's such a weird specific thing that I just wanted to do. But in terms of like low-buy, I didn't look at any paper because that option wasn't something I needed. Like the choice of what paper I'm going to create on for the year was taken away from me. I took that away from myself. So in essence, there was no like decision fatigue of what sketchbook should I get out? What should I fill? What should I buy? What should I look at? It was already decided. And because it was already decided, I didn't have to think about it. So that's kind of, you know, a positive of doing something like this is when it comes to all the supplies you own and all the colors within those supplies and all the paper options, like the choices can be overwhelming and we don't even realize that we're feeling overwhelmed by all the options we own until we sit down and then nothing kind of comes to mind and everything is just too much. So a positive of one of these challenges is when your choices are taken away, you can then make other choices, and those are a little bit clearer in your mind because you just don't have as many choices to make. I know. It sounds wild. Why would you do this to yourself? I don't know. I don't know. I get these wild hairs and then I'm like, you know what I should do for a year? Oh, I've had other ideas. Anyway. So I haven't been looking at stuff because it's not an option to me, and it's not even, I don't even know how to describe it. It's not even that looking at it would make me go, oh, I want to do that. It's just, I just don't have the desire. Like it just doesn't come up as a thing. Videos I'm looking at, I like shorts. I like people doing film things. Those are really interesting to me. I like people talking about how they use their planners and planning things and creating stuff with that and how they organize their life. I really like some of that. I really like sort of makeover home design things. It just hasn't been art supplies at all. Books. Oh, would people recommend books? Recommend me books. Book people are my favorite people. Tell me what you're reading. I was reading some Mary Oliver poetry. Anyway. Yeah, so it just, everything was reaffirmed. Paper decides my medium. When I look at people's art, it's less about the tool they used and about the years they've been creating. So when I see art on Instagram, that also has been changing. I need to add, I'm going to go off the page. All right. When I see somebody creating art and, for example, if they're doing like mermaids or something, I'm less interested in the medium they used and instead of the subject matter they've chosen and how it's a reflection of sort of their artistic style and like the years they've been creating. So when I see somebody's art, I'm like, wow, that's amazing. Like, how did they come up with that idea? How long have they been creating? Like, that's just, I've sort of been focused on that more versus, oh, is that digital? Oh, is that paint? What are they using? I want to use that too. It's less about the product. It's not about the product at all at this point. I just want to know, like, what they've done in their life, that they've dedicated so much time to art, that's what their art now looks like. And that's turned into the inspiration for me. I apologize. We have some noisy vehicles in our neighborhood. Our neighbors have fun. I can't fault them for having fun. Yeah. So, and then when I go on like Twitter, I'm mostly just looking at the conversations people are having in different industries. So each social media thing I use a little differently, and I can get more into that later. But in terms of doing a low buy, I really just am more interested in buying what I know I need, what I know I've used, what I know I'm going to need it again. Like, it's not a ton of new stuff. Like, I would love, you know, to have references that help make my life easier. And I love books. Again, I'm super tactile and, you know, my eyes get tired in the evening. Let's just be for real. So looking at everything digitally online, like, after a while, I need a break. I just do. I'm 43 years old. I have a birthday coming up. My eyes are tired in the evening. So I can be looking at royalty-free photos and Pinterest and things in search engines and things and other platforms for ideas, for notes, for thoughts, for whatever, but then my eyes are like, and we're good, we're done. So it just hasn't really been about the supplies. I know that companies are still coming out with stuff. I know they're trying to do limited edition stuff. I know, folks, here's the deal. Like, it is not lost on me that everybody had a really tough time during the peak of the pandemic in 2020, and that has shaped a bunch of stuff in every industry. That has shaped stuff in the art world. Not just art supplies, but museums and galleries and jobs and all this stuff. And I'm not helping. I'm not helping folks by not buying anything. But again, I'm also not wasting stuff by having it sit on the shelf or, you know, buying things just to buy things. Gosh, my whole mindset is just, it's so different than it was in 2021. And again, part of that could have been because coming out of 2020, I hadn't created for a year. Like, there's just so many things that equaled like a perfect storm of me just purchasing stuff. And some of that was probably psychological and emotional. And again, one of the things that's really detrimental to my progress is boredom scrolling, where I get bored and I just want to look at stuff online. Like, I'll be listening to an audiobook and I'll get bored of that. I'll watch, you know, a movie, I'll get bored of that. And I just sort of look around at stuff online. I don't do that in the winter months. I don't do that in December. And I think one of the reasons for that, honestly, is because of Christmas. So we have 3 kids and we buy gifts for them. We do money for our nieces and just nephews because they're older, but I think we're already buying stuff. Plus the season has turned, and this is kind of, you know, near October is where we go through dressers, and dude, our kids are growing so fast. 2/3 are taller than me. I blame my husband. You can do the same. And that's where, like, if I'm in the mood to purchase, it's all towards that. It goes towards Christmas. It goes towards making sure they have everything they need for the next season. And I think that sort of takes care of that. So I think that's why the boredom scrolling is so bad in the summer. There's no real, like, purchasing things I need to do. One of our kids has sort of a summer birthday. But the other two don't. They're twins. I think that's, yeah, like the seasons change, and I think that definitely affects my mood and what I want to buy and what I want to have and what I want in our house. And I definitely don't like a super cluttered house. Our house is older. Like, I don't know. I think when you look at doing a no-buy and a low-buy art supply, where you're at purchasing for everything sort of plays a part. So if you're just a big shopper, the tendency to swap out, okay, I'm not buying art supplies, can be easily swapped in for something else, taking up a new hobby, which I've seen some folks do when they do low buys, or going through something and suddenly realizing they need more stuff. It can be very, very difficult when doing a low buy to not swap it out for wanting to purchase tons of something else. Like, that is the temptation. Because it's like feeling that sort of, that little rush, that need, that whatever that purchase thing does for you. It's really hard to cut it off cold turkey and then not buy anything. And that's what I did. I made sure I didn't take up any new habits or hobbies or anything like that. That was really, really important, that I didn't suddenly go, and now I need all the houseplants that are carnivorous. Like, I couldn't do that. Hit the library real hard. That's what I did. I went to the library, and I recommend free things. And if your whole thing is getting out of the house and going places, and maybe shopping is just an excuse to do that, looking for free things in your area. We do a lot of hiking. We are afforded that luxury where we live of lots of free hiking trails and all that stuff. I know that's not for everybody. But during this low buy, it's been really easy. I think coming out of a no buy, everything sort of compared to it just is. It sounds really weird because I still get to buy stuff and I can receive gifts now. One of my rules of my no buy was no gifts. And so, you know, when people want to buy me something, I'm like, well, all right, I'll talk about it in a video later. I'll add it all up, but I don't know. I'm just not looking at stuff. I know it's weird. It's weird, but I recommend that if you really want to like cold turkey it and just be really extreme with doing a year-long no buy, that anything else compared to that is gonna be really easy. Because doing a no buy is really strange. So yeah, I mean, I don't even know what to say. Like, my mindset's just so different, and I just look at sketchbooks now and I'm like, well, how many different mediums could I use on that paper? And that's one of the questions I ask myself, you know, when I'm thinking about the future and about other things. If I'm going to buy a new sketchbook, again, I haven't used up all the ones I have, and I need to do that first, of course. Of course. That'll happen first, but just going, okay, if I can't do wet media, then what dry media, and how many pages, and how much is it per page? I start asking myself all these questions. These are the relevant things that my no-buy has taught me, is I don't want to be limited by certain sketchbooks. I don't want to only be able to want to do fine liner or just pastel. You know, if it's sanded paper, which I've never purchased sanded paper. I know that a lot of folks with really dry media like that. That seems really, really niche to me. I'd have to be just in the mood to do pastels or charcoals the whole time. And I won't own anything that niche. I just won't do it. But it's the whole change in that. And it's really strange. And I know it's not for everybody. And I know trying to explain it is so weird because it just comes down to like the psychology of your thoughts and your feelings and what shopping does for you. And how YouTube is a form of entertainment for people. And once you realize that, you have to change the way you do your entertainment. if it's looking at what people purchase and why, like I wanted to look at some of the things people were doing for planners for the year. But I know what planners are available. I know what companies make those planners. I know what that's all about already. Like, there's no really, I don't need to see people unboxing those. I don't know. I think how somebody uses a planner and sets up a planner is much more helpful and informational to me than them just opening a thing. This is not trying to shame folks that do nothing but haul videos. Like, I get it. YouTube loves haul videos. They push those videos. Those get great viewership for folks looking to get more numbers quicker. I know that YouTube is a big fan of the haul, but I just don't seek those out. And so everything is kind of flipped and changed. I'm just not interested in it. I don't know. It's something my no-buy did to me. I blame my no-buy. Feel free to blame my no-buy too. If you can get away with doing a 3-month, a 6-month. I did a whole year. I wanted to see how it felt through all the seasons. And I'm so glad I did, because I am not the same in every season. My mindset is not the same in every season. My behavior is not the same in every season. And I really could see that. And dude, low buys are easy because I can still do a couple purchases a year. I don't know. If I don't buy something that I know I needed and I'm kind of out of luck, like, it's okay. I've got jars of other stuff. There's another purchase coming around for whatever that item or product is next year. Like, I just know it's around the corner, and the days are long, but the years are super short. So I know that if I didn't buy enough fine liners, or I ruined the tips of mine, or I ran out of ink faster than I thought I would, there's another purchase coming around. I got enough stuff I can make something work. Now for 2024, I want to be doing a book, and it's kind of an ambitious endeavor where I'm not sure I have all the things I need. So it's going to have a lot of watercolor, because I know I have plenty of that. So knowing what I have too much of is going to dictate the mediums I use for the project that I want to do. Which it just is what it is at this point. And I'm okay with that. And watercolor is beautiful. And I have my roll of paper that I purchased. I'm just doing some stipples with all the lines to sort of add more texture. But yeah, gosh. Can not buying anything for a year change your mindset? Yes. Can that keep impacting your mindset over a year later? Yes. Like, I still recommend, there are things I recommend folks do, even if you never do a no buy or a low buy, or you're just, I don't know, want to watch me draw and hang out. I appreciate you. Hi, how are you? Doing an inventory and having a written list of everything you own. And I know that takes a long time. Believe me, I know it takes a long time. I decluttered first, and it still took absolutely forever to write down and list every single art supply I owned. Doing that is eye-opening. Doing that is so super helpful. If you create a column and try and figure out what years you purchased stuff and realize how long you've been holding on to things and not using them up, that can be really, really eye-opening. Going through your bank statements and figuring how much money you spent a year on art supplies is really eye-opening. There are things you can do that don't involve a no-buy or a low-buy if you're still working on, you know, if you're a professional artist and you still have to purchase things, you know, if it's a hobby or whatever. If there's for some reason you can't do it, or, you know, maybe you're working on like a purchasing addiction, like I hear you, I see you. There are numbers and places you can call that will help with that. That is an addiction. If it's too hard right now, there are other steps you can take. So, look through your supplies. Write it all down. Figure how much you're spending. Look at your averages over different years. and look at your output, like how much are you creating, you know, maybe look at your commissions, look at your Etsy shop, figure all that out, and that will then help you look at and figure out what to do for the coming years, and see if maybe a no buy and a low buy are for you, because I can't tell you how much it's helped, how much money it's saved. I'll get to the numbers later, but in terms of what I can use up in a year when it comes to supplies, it is not a lot, and I draw every day. Granted, it's A5. Granted, I don't always fill the page, but I just can't use stuff up fast enough. I've tried. I'll show you empties in another video, but it's eye-opening. Like the amount you actually use up and truly need versus just want or sound fun or look interesting or might help assist, might make your life a little easier, or, you know, save you some time with some convenient stuff. Like, we only need so many convenient stuff, and then you're kind of missing out on the joy that is mixing colors. Mixing colors, and like watercolor especially, is a lot of fun. So if you own every single tube ever made from a company, you're missing out on the mixing. You're mixing out on learning some of that color theory stuff that can be really beneficial to your art. I hope this video helps. I hope this inspires you. I hope this gives you a couple ideas. This is just my thought process. This is how I've gone through it. I know for every single person it's going to be truly different depending on what medium, you know, what surface they create on, what mediums they use, what's going through their brain, and what their needs are for their art journey. Again, what works for me isn't going to work for someone else, but this is mine, and this is kind of how it's felt going through 2023. I just haven't looked at anything, so it worked. I'm fixed. I'm not 100% fixed, but I definitely don't look at art supplies the same way, and I think that's a positive. I think putting creating to the forefront and supplies in the background is such a helpful switch to flip, because I'm then concentrating on, okay, what makes me a better artist? What makes me a better illustrator? What could I do to up the quality of the stuff I'm creating? And it's not supplies that comes to my mind. It's time spent and practice and studying. All right, I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.